There's always one. You get the headliner and you're like, sick, all right, we got the right guy, and then you're like, fuck, now who do we book around to make the sound good? But thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you. Sure. Sorry you had to drive out so far.
No worries. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, perfect. You, we'll start, I guess, just from the beginning. You have a military background?
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all. I thought you were just like a painter by trade from the beginning.
No. I joined the Air Force in 2002. I think it was 8 days after my birthday.
18th birthday?
No, it was my 20th birthday.
20th birthday.
So
okay.
that was, September 9/11 happened
right
before.
Right.
So I was just even more motivation to go. My father was in the Army and the Navy as well, so just that. And I wasn't doing much, I was raving.
Sure. At that age, at 20 years old.
I was raving, throwing parties.
You were throwing parties in 2002.
Yeah.
No
well,
kidding.
not. I mean, I was
Sorry, if you want to tilt it up, it might be a little bit better for you.
I was basically a street team, so I was a promoter, basically handing out flyers. I would see Insomnia, Go Ventures, and all those dudes. When I got involved, it was. They had some pretty big parties. I don't know if you heard of one.
I haven't.
Kind of the Huntington Beach bumper sticker sign. But it's at one. But yeah, when I was there, we threw parties with. We booked Robert Miles.
Back then.
Jesus. I think it was 2001, and that was a bust. It was a bust.
Yeah.
The reason being was, everyone expected to hear Fable, Children, right? The classics.
The classics, yeah.
But it didn't happen. He played ambient stuff for an hour.
I wonder what do you think it is about that? I don't. Obviously, some artists they know what they're known for,
right?
And they know what people kind of tend to want to hear and what to expect from them, and then they just kind of go.
I don't know. It happens. It happens that I feel like bands do that too.
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation with somebody at my workplace because he's a vinyl collector, and we were talking about that, and he was saying he was gonna go see I forgot who, some old school big hair band.
Okay.
He's just when they play their new stuff, it's everyone's paying to see you perform those songs, but as an artist, I don't produce or anything, but I would think that it's. I don't want to be known for boxed into that certain sound.
Yeah, I can get that, but it's your own sound kind of thing. But I've seen a lot of artists that usually and it's not even just in house music. Even if it's everything from hip hop, they'll play they'll start off with their new stuff. They'll start off with something different, and then they end with the stuff that everybody knows. So everyone's there. You stay for the whole set, and then you kind of end it off with the classics that you like to hear and stuff like that. It's interesting. And then so that didn't work out early on. How did you were you doing that, and then you kind of gave it up to go into the Air Force, or what was the?
Oh yeah. So after that party, that was kind of our last rave, I guess you would call it. And then we threw a club called Club 01 at the Hollywood Athletic Club. That was I don't think anybody threw a party there.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a place.
Really cool place. It's I think once I left, the first party actually was with Little Louis Vega and and a singer. So he had a singer with him. At that time, I didn't know Little Louis Vega.
Okay.
And a funny story about that is I was supposed to pick him up from his hotel at that time
to the party.
Yeah, to take to the party, and then also drop them off at his hotel after the event. I was 20. I couldn't even get into that club. I had to be snuck in.
And this was before Uber and before all that shit.
Yeah,
right? Okay.
Exactly. So I remember picking him up, and I was into trance. Casey, ATB.
Most people were
that
back
type
in
of
the
stuff.
day. That's fair.
Yeah, and looking back at him, oh, I'm so bad. I wonder if he remembers that kid that was playing him a trance mixtape from Asian Garden Mall in Westminster. So
he probably did. But it's again for the era and the time that it was. I think it wasn't too far off from pretty much what the sound was. Obviously, back then the generations have changed and sounds developed and music's changed and developed, but. Yeah, no, stick with the trance. Especially if you were that age and you're picking him up. Was he vibing with it at all, or was he just side-eyeing you
I think he was pretty quiet. Yeah, he was pretty quiet. So, that was my only interaction with little Louis Vega.
Yeah.
But, you know, if I get another chance,
What?
I mention that story.
You're
you know?
still in the scene, so I mean, you never
Yeah.
know. You could always line it up.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to talk a little bit more about the Air Force, because that really it's interesting to me, because you said your family was in it, and obviously it seems to always encourage the sons and daughters and stuff to kind of get involved as well.
Yeah.
Was it signing up? Did you have any prior, like, I wouldn't assume you had like piloting experience, or was that even what you got in for, to actually get behind the plane, or were you doing more?
Yeah, I mean, in order to be a pilot, I believe you have to, you know, at least have a bachelor's degree.
Really?
And more requirements. Like, I know your health has to be like tip top shape. I mean, the only thing for me was my vision was great, 25/20.
Right.
It's probably not that anymore, but.
Right.
You know, once I got into the Air Force, I mean, it was tough. The reason why I wanted to join was I wasn't doing. I just wasn't doing. I felt stuck. You know, I needed change, and I knew I needed some stability, and I knew the military would give you that, because, you know, like, people told me, like, if you go to the military, go to the Air Force. You know, don't do Army, Marines, or whatnot. But no, I mean, no disrespect to the other branches. You know, it's all, you know, one.
That's just
one
what you
unit.
were influenced by.
Yeah. But I mean, I had a really good experience. Picked up DJing there.
What?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah.
Like, how does that tie into?
So I get stationed back in Edwards Air Force Base in Lancaster, Palmdale area. So I was basically back home. It's a 2-hour drive back to Orange County.
What was the day to day? If you're stationed, you're close to home. Are you coming in and out of the base? Are you sleeping there?
I mean, you could do that. You could come in and out of the base, but as a single airman, you're gonna live in the dorm. So it's like college atmosphere.
Sure.
So, you know, and like, people have different jobs and shifts. So like, you'll have a day shift and a night shift and a swing shift. I was mostly on day shift, so it's to be like 7 to 3 o'clock. And
what
after
are you doing
that,
in that time?
What's that?
What are you doing in that time for the Air Force? I'm just trying to figure out like the job description, and what is it that they had you doing as like a new person, you know, that's never been, you know, doing that before. What do they have you doing? Because I had Michael on the show, and he was in the Navy. He was on the USS Nimitz, and, you know, his day-to-day was coming in with no real experience, and they ended up getting him into like logistics and finance and stuff like that.
Yeah. So my job was an aircraft armament technician. Basically, what that is my aircraft was the F-16 fighter jet, and I worked on the weapon systems. There's two sides of that job. There's a back shop, which is, you know, when the missile launchers, bomb racks, you know, they deploy whatever, like on a test. They'll come back, they'll take that missile launcher, bomb rack off the plane, bring it to the back shop, and then that's where we, you know, tear it apart, do regular maintenance, and you know, did some test stuff too. Had a top secret clearance. I don't know how I got that, but
is there anything that you can share as far as like the top? Because the top secret clearance, I mean, if you're saying like you're surprised how you got it, is there anything that it was like put to use where there were only some things you know that other people maybe didn't?
I mean, there was a little bit of stuff, you know, with the Raptor, which is like the FA-22 Raptor. It's been so long since I talked about the Air Force. But I mean, it wasn't really used. I think I originally got orders after like my basic training in tech school. After you learn your job, you get stationed. Damn. And I had orders to Eglin Air Force Base, which is in Florida, like white sandy beaches. Sure. That would have been amazing.
That's not bad. Yeah. Would have been amazing.
Would have, but I got stuck back in Lancaster, back in the desert. I mean, 120 on the flight line. Yeah, it's brutal.
That sucks.
And there's nothing to do out there.
Right. I mean, because you're just waiting for something to land in order for you to like, hey, you know, you're needed out there. Go ahead and get it going.
I mean, there's constantly work. I mean, if you're not doing work, you're doing details.
Sure.
Details is just basicly like busy work, you know?
Just anything to keep you busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Mopping the floors, cleaning this, doing that.
Exactly.
Damn. How long were you?
I was in for 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
At 20 years old, came out at about like 23.
23. Yeah, met a lot of good people from all over.
I can imagine.
That was definitely an experience. I had friends that would come visit me from Orange County to my base.
Sick.
And I went through parties, like dorm parties, like in the multi-purpose room.
Yeah.
and those are fun. And I didn't DJ at the time, but my friend did. I just fell in love with it. I wanted to be a DJ, so I picked it up and train wreck after train wreck, because back then it was vinyl. And then Serato came out. Then you have Serato face looking at the screen. So yeah,
so you were in with the early times, as far as like the early struggles and trying to figure out equipment that you weren't cut out to like figure out at the time.
Yeah, beat matching was a struggle for me. But I don't know. I guess I finally got it like kind of like 4 or 5 years in.
Yeah.
But I never. It was just to party.
Okay.
Like
so
to throw parties.
Were there like? Were you guys saying as far as like the dorms, it was not co-ed, it was split in certain ones, and the parties everybody would kind of meet together, like meet at the F-18 spot, and we got a DJ Leezy or whatever the fuck, I don't know.
I think there were definitely co-ed dorms. Yeah.
Okay.
Just co-ed dorms. And usually how they're set up, well, in the Air Force we had it pretty good. We'd just have a room by ourselves, and then we'd share a bathroom in the middle.
Oh, okay.
So we call that a piss mate.
A piss mate.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't like a full hangar, and there were just bunk beds and bunk beds. Is that even a thing in anywhere in the Army?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure in the Army it's
Maybe?
like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like during basic training, we
Right.
you do that, or if you're in combat, I'm pretty sure you're sleeping in tents or probably worse.
But your living conditions were all right.
My living conditions were good. Like people make fun of the Air Force because of that. We had a good chow hall, kitchen with like a salad bar and like all kinds of options. So no complaints here.
Do you guys ever communicate with like other branches of the military when stuff's going on? Because I'm sure obviously everything's obviously intertwined with one because it is the military, and then it has different branches of the military. Or are you guys kind of segmented? And only when needed, or if shit goes down, then you have to communicate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure in the higher ranks, it's kind of like that. I mean, for us, airmen, we're just doing our day to day.
Yeah, there was no need for you to like contact. The Navy.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be definitely common to have different branches at the same bases. So like we had Marines in their dorm, and then some Navy guys too. So,
got it.
Yeah.
How were the tensions around that time? Because you came in, you were saying right after September 11. Was everyone on like high alert, kind of anxiety, being there and not knowing whether or not they're gonna have to, get shipped somewhere and really go through some?
Right. I think because when I went to the basic training. That's when I felt like it was pretty like the urgency was there.
Yeah.
Like all the drill sergeants they're like into
edge.
And because these dudes might have to go to combat. So, I mean, of course, like Air Force, we don't really have a lot of foot soldiers. I mean, there's PJs, which are the pararescue. I don't know why I did quotes. But pararescue men,
sure.
which they are badass mofos.
Yeah, those ones that jump out the plane.
Rescue like a downed pilot, stuff like that. Like, yeah, they're crazy.
That's right. And you had those dudes like walking around with you guys, and you kind of see them.
Not really. You don't really see them.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Because they're always in the air.
Yeah.
Stupid joke.
Dad joke. I'm all about dad jokes.
Yeah, hell yeah. We're old enough now. It's just let us have our goddamn dad jokes. Was the effects of, just because this is like really interesting to me how it's like, especially around that time, around September 11, were you seeing the effects on certain people as far as like mental health and how it was affecting them? Because if you're saying you were in there for 3 years, and thankfully, I'm fucking glad you really didn't have to, be in the line of fire, really have to do anything,
Yeah.
So were there people coming back from certain things, and you would like see them and you're like, it affected him. There is some sort of like not okayness.
Well, I think how I experienced that the most is probably through my friends.
Right.
My friends that went to Iraq, and they were in Fallujah, like in like big firefights. I've had my roommate. Lost friends. I mean, you're like, think about it. You're like 18, 20 years old.
Yeah.
You're seeing body parts all spread out in the Humvee. Like just it's for someone so young to see that. It's definitely gonna stick with you.
Absolutely. I can't imagine.
Yeah. So one of my friends, he was like that for like a year or two. Always drinking, partying.
After the fact.
Yeah. After coming back and being out, it was rough. He definitely changed. But for him, he was able to turn it around. I don't know how.
Nice.
I'm guessing with the good family and us, family and friends. kind of brought them back. Others, I mean, you definitely see a change, and you kind of have to, I mean, maneuver around, how they're acting, so.
So kind of like almost like walking on eggshells.
Walking on eggshells, yeah. You don't want to push any buttons. I mean, I think the main one thing my friend told me was like, the thing that I hate the most is when people say, "Did you kill anybody?" It's
Damn.
like, why
That's
would
a
you
weird
ask me
question to
that?
ask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like people just, they don't think about it. Like,
Yeah.
they're so and so. Like, how many people did you kill? Like, you don't
That's a weird
ask
question to
that.
ask
Yeah. Or
someone.
did you kill anyone?
Did you kill anyone?
Yeah, like obviously, But yeah, I think with the military, I think nowadays is definitely, there's a lot. I don't know. I feel like people don't really respect the military as much, like our veterans. I feel like they, just because how, I don't want to get into politics, but
Sure.
just kind of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
state of our country is.
Right.
I feel like the military just kind of gets ignored.
The veterans are getting
Veterans,
okay,
yeah,
not so okay.
and even
Yeah.
active duty.
Yeah.
I mean, they're.
I mean, people are. Whatever. Again, not to get too political, but I think people are ignorant, and I think people, because you're in a safe city, or what you consider to be a safe city, you're away from it. You don't see it firsthand. Let's say you don't have it. Like, I don't have any family members directly in the military, or that was never around me. My friends, nothing really like that. So people are just ignorant. And for those people that are asking people like, "Hey, how many people did you fucking kill?" It's more of a question for them than even considering like, "Yo, that dude, if you fucking killed someone, it's gonna be hard on you." Like, especially at like 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
It's
definitely.
just it's unfortunate.
It is. But hopefully, veterans and active duty military members are getting taken care of. I know like the GI Bill is improved, and there's still a lot of benefits there. So I mean, they're getting taken care of, but hopefully more. Like the ones on the street, the homeless.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
Yeah, there is a lot. I mean, there's a lot of homeless, and it's to try and find someone, like if you're gonna have, let's say, an agency that cares for veterans. Like I work with a lot of offices that do nonprofit organizations that look to aid the veterans and make sure they're understanding like finances after coming back from the war, and how can they do like their own business and get small business loans and get approved for stuff like that. And I don't think it's focused on enough. I'm not one to talk. It's not like I'm really an advocate for it. I'm not, I don't mean to put myself as like, high and mighty or whatever, but it's unfortunate. It's sad. It's a high number, and the trauma level that I can't imagine people have to deal with, I think needs to be highlighted more, because it's not your everyday trauma. It's not like stuff that you deal with like a broken heart if you get broken up with. Like if someone's coming back from war and combat, that's someone that needs to be taken care of, I think, probably a little bit more than your average. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
I didn't mean to get all somber, man.
No.
Well, we can kind of shift to however you want, but I think it's important.
Yeah.
I think it's like to not talk about it is not doing it justice, especially for you doing your time in there and actually putting in the work and seeing it firsthand, especially having friends that are affected by it. It's harsh. So I'm sorry you had to deal with that at such a young age, but I'm glad you came out all right. I'm glad.
Thank you.
I mean, you're a little fucked up, but that makes all of us. Right?
Aren't we all?
Yeah, aren't we all? So did the DJing, like, once you left after your 3 years, did that like kind of still resonate with you to kind of want to continue being in music, or did it not for a while and then you came back to it?
I was doing like sorority parties, doing weddings, like rambling, playing at weddings. I was doing that, and I was just trying to like, survive.
Keep it around,
survive and work. I mean, it was like life after the military. It was going to be, I was trying out for LAPD.
Okay.
And that didn't go well. So, the polygraph kind of like freaked me out. But the thing I didn't know was everybody fails the polygraph.
Really? Everybody fails?
Yeah, they just try. The
lie detector test.
Lie detector test. Yeah, like I had a friend at church, and he was like, and he's straight edge, never touched drugs or anything.
Sure.
And he's told me, I failed 3 times and then they finally, it's just they're just trying to make you break, and then I was I didn't tell the truth on certain things, experimenting with drugs. You don't want to mention everything.
Right.
But I did, and I just felt like it wasn't meant to be. And so I started painting for my uncle. So that's kind of,
that's right.
I've had a lot of jobs in between, but and then I just kind of got into painting. So
yeah. So now, do you work with your uncle still? Like, do you guys work for your own? Like, is it like independent contracting? You guys work for a company that
it's my uncle's company. So
Nice.
he started that in '93 in Corona.
Damn, I was
And-
3.
Yeah.
Damn, I wasn't doing shit in '93.
Yeah, he definitely was, and after the military, that's how I got into it, and I just basically help him run the business.
Nice.
So I do all the day to day, and yeah,
And the hands-on stuff, because I see you. I mean, you post about the good work that you do, and is it more? Do you think is it another one of those things where people kind of don't appreciate it as much? Because I can imagine. I mean, what's like? How much is your like? How big is a team going like into painting like a house or the inside or stuff like that?
like how much is it or
No. Like how many people
how
on
many
a team
people
to like
go into that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, basically, I mean, every company runs differently. It depends if you're running like commercial or doing residential properties. I do a lot of residential, so it's a lot of repaint, and like and definitely furnished homes. They're living in it, so with that you have to be really careful about furniture, flooring, everything. So it's a very intimate thing because you're inside their house.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Especially if we're doing interior exterior, it's it'll be a 2-man crew. Interior we do a 2-man crew.
Okay.
I don't do any work myself. Well, I do work,
Right.
but I'm not like doing the painting,
Up there
like
with
prep
that,
work
yeah.
and stuff like that. I have to manage my 4 or 5 crews and do estimates in between that. So it's a lot of driving.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Going from place to make sure everybody's kind of you're here where you need to be. They're getting the stuff that they want. Is it when you're painting like the inside? Because when I moved out of my last apartment before we came here, I had asked them like, hey, can you? We'd lived there for like 7 years, and I'd asked them like, hey, can you guys give it a one time around? It's been 8 years.
Oh wow.
We haven't broken anything. We haven't complained. We haven't needed you guys to really fix anything other than like plumbing here and there.
Right.
Gang. But
That's a reasonable request.
Yeah, reasonable.
Right?
Yeah, plumbing every once in a while. But their whole thing was like, if they're gonna paint it, then we have to get all the furniture out of the house because they don't want to risk like doing anything. Is that like a week? Is that not?
Well, if you're asking the apartment,
The landlord.
he's just, I don't know.
I mean, they're not gonna come and fucking paint it themselves. They're
gonna hire a company, but I mean, I
like
guess
a risk.
there's risk and there's also the price. I mean, if you have more stuff to like cover up, it's gonna take time to do that.
Jesus.
So, and usually landlords try to go cheap. Not all landlords,
Right? Yeah. No,
but,
these motherfuckers were. These motherfuckers
Yeah.
were for sure. Anytime there was an issue, it's like, are you sure that it needs to be taken care of? I'm like, get your ass over here and give me a new air filter on my air conditioner.
Exactly.
It's like putting out dust.
You can't just buy a property and just expect, just to
have
reap
it.
the benefits from it and not, if people or families are living there, it should be taken care of. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just believe in doing things the right way and, not skipping out on prep work and I'm just a detailed person,
I respect that.
Yeah,
I respect
definitely
that. I
integrity.
appreciate that. Yeah, and I'm sure the families that you do the work for, they come in and they're probably like, yes, this is what we wanted, instead of having some half-ass fucking work.
Yeah, no, I come into projects where they hire like a painter from Craigslist. Don't ever do that. Like, it's the worst thing. I know my friend just messaged me. She was like, how, I gave her kind of a quote. She's like, oh, but my gardener offered this much. I'm like, are you serious right now? But I understand, a lot of expenses and things like that. And people just, the outside of your house, you don't really enjoy it that much. Most people just go in their garage and then come out of the garage and that's it. So
yeah, but it's like the quality. I mean, I can understand like you want to budget sometimes in finance and you want to know like, hey, should I be cutting the corners on this? Is it okay to have my gardener paint my house? The answer is no.
Definitely.
As much as you can. I mean, you can probably get a good deal with someone to come and actually paint it as a professional. But
exactly. It's a lot of people are just looking for a deal. Certain things, yes, but I think when it comes to like protecting your investment, definitely, hire someone that's going to take care of your house and kind of treat it. No one's going to treat their house like it's their own, but at least close to that.
Well, what's the company called?
My painting company is called Crystal Painting.
Crystal Painting. Yeah.
Based
So if
out of
any of you
Corona.
guys need your shit painted, don't go to Craigslist. Don't go to fucking Craigslist.
Please
You're
don't go to
hearing from the
Craigslist.
actual professional.
Yeah, and if you and it's you don't even have to hire me. I'm all about education,
Right.
And just just educating my friends about, the process.
Mm.
I'll even look at quotes for you and just to make sure that, you're getting a good deal and they're using the right material, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I honestly, I almost want to like start a YouTube channel on painting and doing that because everyone comments on my Instagram videos are like, yo,
do it.
I love the painting,
Yeah.
less DJing stuff, more painting.
That's a strange request. Less DJing, more painting. I wouldn't think there would be that high of a demographic, but I mean, I guess people kind of need it more than you would think.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the weird things, like pulling tape from the window. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so satisfying
Yeah.
just for some people. And I like that stuff too. When,
Yeah.
like everything's like you go to a paint store and all the cans are lined up. I mean, it's
nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
the OCD in me.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, YouTube. I mean, everything now is the reason I'm part of the reason that I'm like excited to do this is to get people to see people that they might not have access to outside of behind the DJ booth. The lights are off, strobes,
Right.
loud, fucked up, can't hear anything.
I'm a real person.
Yeah, I mean, just I mean, the whole YouTube and getting yourself out there, I think, is super beneficial, especially for something that if there is a request for it and there is a demand that, let's say, in a industry that I would never think, but I mean, there's so many people that if they're asking for it, I think.
Yeah.
So what would the process be like filming? Is it more of like a vlog explanation of like, hey, this is kind of what to look for, what not to look for? You're not going to be there like, hey, so look at this, let me paint this for you. No, it's not.
I think maybe common problems, that people that occur, like peeling, paint blistering, stuff like that, stucco crack repair. People are going to want to. They like these videos because they want to learn, and there's a lot of I know a lot of people are do it yourself.
Yep.
And I mean, you save a lot of money that way. And I have friends that have done a lot of things without any kind of experience, but watching YouTube videos.
Yep.
So
a buddy of mine, he started his own bakery, and he had no experience as like a cake decorator, and from what I'm hearing from him, everything was you just went to YouTube and you learn the shit. You study it. I think it was even Elon Musk that was saying like anything. You're in an era where you can learn any trade, any skill on YouTube.
That's
so if you have the ability to, I mean, obviously you have the ability, if you're fucking watching this, you have the ability to go on YouTube. But if you have the ability to kind of pick up a craft via YouTube, something that simple, you don't have to pay for classes. You don't have to go into debt. You can literally pick up a craft here. You take advantage of it as much as you can.
Why listen to some guy at Home Depot that really doesn't care?
Right, yeah. When you can kind of scroll and search for the specific things that you're looking for.
Yeah, I do that with everything now.
Hell yeah, I support it. I want to see a crystal...
Painting,
crystal painting YouTube channel.
Well, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. I think I have a lot of stuff going on.
What do you have? I mean, aside from the painting, tell me about your involvement with Analog Advisory, because I'm a big fan of that. I've been for a long time. What's your involvement with it? Did you start it?
No. Analog Advisory was started by my friends Peter and Pedro. They're friends from Arizona. Pedro's still out in Phoenix area. Peter lives out here in Orange County. So they started it, I think, a couple years ago, just as like a blog, kind of to emulate, like the whole Bloghouse scene. And then they were just, posting whatever they were feeling, the tracks. And then our friend Matt from Berlin Bass Collective, he's got obviously it's in Berlin,
right?
But I think he passed off a premiere, like, oh, you guys should do premieres like all these other channels. And I think once we premiered one of his tracks or his label's tracks, then we just started doing that and pursuing more labels, emailing them. Not getting emails back, getting the scraps, but it's fun. And I think I got involved. I think it's probably about a year and a half, almost 2 years now. They asked me I wanted to do a podcast, so I started Analog. I took over and started hosting Analog Advisory Radio,
right?
Which is hosted on Virtual Public Network VPN.
Yeah.
Because the first couple episodes, it was just a straight mix. So I figured, why not? Let's do a podcast, like a radio show. So I play premieres from our music channel. and then also do an interview in the middle, and then a guest mix. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's been super fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can imagine. So is it like via Skype? You just contact the people that are
Yeah,
overseas?
it's not like this. It's like a Skype or Google Hangouts, and then I
Right.
record that audio and just strip it, and then play some music in the background and
Okay.
do it that way. I mean, it works.
That's cool.
I think.
Yeah. So it's a platform. Where do you guys have the content? Like, where does the content come out of?
Well, the content is, I guess our most popular way to get the content would be SoundCloud.
Okay.
It's Analog Advisory. And then on YouTube, we're starting to gain more subscribers, but that's still kind of growing. So we're on YouTube as well. And then, of course, Facebook.
Yeah.
And we do have a website as well. So it's analogadvisory.com.
Nice.
And that'll have basically everything on there, links to SoundCloud and YouTube.
Yeah.
So.
And it's just a platform where you guys premiere music from not so much like it's from individual artists, like people who reach out to you guys, or do you guys have to filter to it? Do you have a sound that you kind of try to prefer to stick to?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a sound that we like. Like the ambient stuff is probably not gonna do well on our channel. Right.
Right.
Like we know our audience. I think it's like house and techno, and then everything branches off like breaks, acid house, even UKG and like bass stuff. We're pretty eclectic. Yeah. So it's been fun. It's all labels. It's mostly labels that we're doing premieres for, and then also artists. They'll send tracks too. Yeah. Producers will just send tracks on their own. And, if we like it, we'll premiere it. If we, or put it under free downloads. We're just here to help, the less known artists. I think we just have to kind of grow together.
Absolutely.
I can't just expect to do like Harrison BDP premiere or
I
don't know why.
That's just
in my
happened to
head.
pop up in your head.
Yeah.
No, whatever. A lot of the artists, they're kind of. I mean, it's good that the ethos that you guys are trying to push is the fact that you guys are trying to grow together. Because I mean, a lot of artists that we try to bring over. There's already a demand for the big name artists that everybody knows. Everybody wants to hear. You can see the same big artists in LA. Every collective is going to book them. But do you think it's tougher to kind of get the content out when the artists aren't really as known? Because the music speaks for itself. I mean, you hear a good track, no matter who plays it, whether it's the fucking big dogs or someone that's unknown from overseas. The music's good. The music's good.
Right.
But like promoting the content with an unknown.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I do all the social media for Analog Advisory as well, so I'm doing mostly all the posting. It gets, it's the reaction, to, you post a song that's pretty from a well-known, or a pretty known producer or other artist, they'll get more likes, of course.
Yeah.
I'll post my stuff in like Facebook groups, and stuff like that, and you get some traction. If the track is good, if the track's fire, then
Yeah.
people do react. But it's definitely hard to promote, those type of artists.
Yeah.
But we're premiering music that we believe in and that we like. And if it fits the sound, we're gonna just continue to. And I think it's important to support the artist, not just premiere their track, but then also invite them for a guest mix or interview or both, and just trying to spread the word about these guys, because no one's doing that for them, right? I mean, besides themselves, if they do that, some people don't.
I mean, I've been in the know with people who kind of don't want to put their stuff out there, and you have to kind of probe them like, hey man, like your stuff's good, your stuff is, we support what you're doing, we like it. It might not be what's popping, what's the scene right now, but I mean, I think if you stick behind it, if we stick behind it, we got a chance to actually get it somewhere, even a little bit. I mean, this is obviously not the last track they're ever going to produce, so it's like you might as well get some content out now and have some support from someone who believes it.
Exactly. I think it's important to social media is super important for that. You could just post your tracks and get feedback. I mean, that's just simple. Just connecting with like-minded artists, producers, labels. Just having an online presence, I think, is super important, and it affects how successful you're gonna be. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, it is, man.
I mean, I hate doing it too. And like I see posts about people complaining about that, like, oh, it's clout, It's
But I mean, that what else
Yeah.
is going to get you out there other than
exactly.
other people or cloud is essentially people like your shit at the moment. Like you have the people are vibing on you, they're giving you the support. People like it, so they're like, yeah, that guy's got clout because kind of stupid ass words you guys coming up with nowadays, clout and all this dumbass shit.
Well, I think it's what people are saying is just it's kind of overkill, just too much.
Yeah.
Why are you tagging like all these artists in your mix? Da, da, da.
Oh, okay.
Like I've seen
Got
stuff
it.
like that, and just I understand it. I see both sides, and I'm trying to be more mindful about my posts. Like I just don't want to keep posting, and it just becomes like I don't know. It's
redundant.
Exactly. You're just spewing out.
It's hard.
Stuff.
I think when like social media first came out, let's say with Instagram and even Facebook, like the algorithms were a lot different. So you didn't necessarily have to, put out content. But now if I were to post, let's say this video and then I hit refresh, there's already 50 new fucking things. So it's like the content level, depending on what you're trying to do and what kind of stuff you're trying to push, the content is super important because you have to have people got to see your name all the time. People got to hear that you're putting something out all the time.
True. That's just the way it is. But I mean, I think we just have to be mindful about promoting, and just try to find other ways and not be so intrusive.
In your face.
In your face.
Yeah.
So.
How was did you get into Analog Advisory? Was that like your first integration to like the music industry here in LA? I mean, aside from like the promoting back in the day.
I think it's actually with Low.
Okay, you did Low before you got
Ford
involved.
Rhythm and Low.
Yeah, shout out to those guys, dude.
Yeah.
Fam,
Drew.
all fam. Hell yeah, Drew.
323, Johnny, Beggar, everybody.
Yeah. How did you guys get in? I mean, because I know Andy and you and all those guys. You guys started seeing something that was missing from our scene because obviously you guys go to all the shows. We were all integrated in the dance music industry before we actually started throwing parties. And I think essentially the essence, I mean, aside from people that are doing it for the clout, for the people that are doing it just because it's the cool thing to do, or everybody, I've said this even I think on the last one, everybody's a DJ now, everybody's a fucking promoter, and everybody throws a party. So was it more of like you saw something that, just like with Analog Advisory, we believe in the music, we believe in this artist, even though not too many people do.
Right.
And that's kind of what translated into Low?
I think for us, I know when I met Andrew, I think you were actually there. It was like at Ani and Louie's house.
Yeah, that was Thanksgiving.
Party. Yeah, that was the first time I met.
That was the first time I met you too.
Yeah, that was the first time. So going there and getting that invite was huge because I got to meet like really cool people. And you guys have supported us and supported my, solo stuff. Really appreciate that. I brought my records, and then Andrew was like, "Oh, you got this? Oh, you got DJ Boring?" And it was just like, it was meant to be. We met, and then I think he hit me up for like one of the first Low parties, and I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I'm kind of busy, blah blah.
Sure.
And they hit me up a second time, and then that's when I said yes, and then I kind of got it and understood the vision, and then we formed a pretty good team. So I think everything is running pretty well. I mean, Andrew hustles, he definitely is probably the hardest working out of all of us. So big shout out to that guy. But yeah, it's been fun.
That's good, man. And I think that the point you made as far like you understood the vision, I think that's the biggest, like probably the most important thing of even starting a collective is understanding your own vision and what you're trying to do. Right. And then if you're going to get integrated with somebody else, the vision that you guys have together for what you want to do, because that's really hard to get someone else that understands the same vision. Yeah.
I think we're all pretty similar in our music taste. Like I think have pretty broad musical taste. I mean, we booked J-Rock, who did that in the dance scene, and he's a great DJ. And I think going back to your question was, we were doing this because we just felt like there wasn't a party for not necessarily us, but just like the DJs that we wanted to hear, and the sound that we were really into. So it just started like that, and then I think we booked Rick Wade for our first after hours party. Don't mean to flex on you right now.
No. That's fucking please
But,
flex away. This is
that
your
was
show.
that was through like our house. Our house was just a Facebook group, and,
Yeah.
and he commented on something, and I said, "Oh shit, it's Rick Wade."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yo," and
Tight.
that's basically how it happened. And
Yeah.
I think that definitely helped us, kind of grow more,
Of course.
and put us not on the map, but like people to
Essentially.
yeah.
I mean, you guys came. I mean, we had our growing pains. Our first year of hosting parties were like for friends, by friends, people from high school.
Yeah.
And the learning curve we had of doing Thirsty Thursday, like we had a party called fucking Thirsty Thursday every 2 weeks. Oh my god.
Block is hot.
But yeah, oh, Jesus Christ. But we had we had Stefan, we had Andy, we had Jordan, we had George Morales, we had Jose. I mean, I don't know if it was Jose Leo. But anyway, like back in the day, and we had like a learning curve of where we didn't understand the industry really. We didn't have a sound. We didn't understand a direction. So I think you guys, even with the first party and the first after hour that you guys did, there was you kind of. I'm glad you guys didn't have to go through that, garbage booking. Not garbage. I mean, there were homies, but you know what I mean. Like it wasn't a booking that you can like stand behind as a collective in LA. Because now the industry, it really is about that. So you guys came out of the gate like great flyer that nobody really styles, not the same as anyone else. The artists you guys are booking, people aren't seeing it, even though they're like, wait, I didn't fucking know other people knew about that. Yeah. So that's what I think is missing in here.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's a lot of great DJs out here that are not playing,
Yeah.
I think when we first started, when we discovered, or I didn't discover, Tony Acumen, was talking about Ricky Tinez.
Is that how you pronounce it? Acumen?
Acumen?
I've been saying Acumen. Like he's a goddamn
well, now you know.
Acumen. All right, cool. No disrespect.
Shout out Made to Move.
Yeah.
Great party. With Acumen, he mentioned Ricky Tinez. I was like, who's Ricky Tinez?
Right.
He's like, he's from LA. Checked out his Bandcamp. I was like, yo, he's good. And I didn't even know he made YouTube videos and was like this big Dallas synth guy.
Yeah.
He recently got hated on, by the way.
I saw that. Yeah, in our house, right? Wasn't there in our house post? Yeah,
it started there. Yeah,
we talked about that.
So stupid.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I know Ricky Tinez through Andy, and then we did him for Demuya and that night. So I kind of like I got to know him, and I still had no idea that he was like this big YouTube guy. And then when I saw the Our House post, I was like, what? That guy? Like he's like big on YouTube.
Yeah.
Which goes to show that YouTube can do a lot for people, I guess. But you'll always draw hate.
Yeah, that's true.
Whatever.
That's true. I mean,
probably not a lot of people. I could probably get some flack for this shit. Whatever.
But yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, there's always that debate of, vinyl and, I mean, it just, if it sounds good, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Are the people vibing? Are you making them dance? I think that's the most important thing. So it doesn't really matter what you're using.
Yeah. Do you see the I guess trials and tribulations of being involved in such a heavily saturated market? I mean, if you were to take this same idea and let's say you go to a smaller, I mean, it's not really the same to, let's say, Orange County, just for since you're from there. I'm not sure how the scene is out there, and there's no disrespect to the collectives or anything out there, but I mean, the level of LA and how you have to sustain and what you have to book, and you have to try to be different because you can't just be, a DJ and then a dance floor. Like you kind of gotta do more for yourself.
Yeah, you have to like have a whole experience, right? Have
you guys seen like the difficulties of, even though you're 110% behind your lineups and your bookings, and they're always great bookings, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily translate to the audience. It doesn't translate to the promotion, the social media. You don't really get it out how you want to. Like I deal with this shit all the time. So.
Yeah, it's always a tough thing. In Orange County, I mean, the scene in Orange County, I don't really go out too much during the weekday, but there's Focus.
There's Focus.
There's MDA.
Shout out to those guys. Yeah. I mean, those guys for people that are in. I think it can also go both ways because you're technically in a tougher market, even though LA is very saturated and it's really hard for people to. You can come and start a collective tomorrow and start off with a really good lineup, and you're on the map, and people are like, "Oh, cool, a new party in LA. Let's go check them out. They're booking people we know." Yeah. But for people that are doing it in OC,
Yeah,
Like,
it's
fuck.
tough. I mean, you got to bring
Yeah.
out all the homies.
Exactly. You
I mean,
gotta.
yeah, but then the homies get tired. They don't come out as much.
I'm fucking tired, bro. You're
I'm
fucking
tired as
yeah.
well.
Jesus, I can only imagine.
Yeah, I could only imagine too. I mean, we haven't. I mean, of course, we've had some nights that have been pretty lackluster, or it just didn't meet our expectations.
Yeah, always.
But I think it's just we need to be more smart about our bookings and the way we just handle things. It's you gotta just stay fresh and keep trying new things. I think that's what we're trying to do with Low right now this year. Trying to step up. Trying to have professional sound every time.
Right. It's crazy how that makes that much of a difference. Because when you first came in, you're like focus on the lineup, focus on promoting and partying, and then you get there and you're like, something's missing, and you don't know what it is. And it does, like, I mean, the crowds, people don't go there and they're like, oh, they had Danley speakers, or oh, they had all this shit that they kind of call it out, but they leave the party and they're like, something was off. But when you have the proper sound, they're there and they're like, it was great, but at the same time, they're not like, oh, they had great. It's so tough because what needs to be done.
It's true. Yeah, when you do have great sound, no one's
appreciating it. Yeah, the sound is great, right? But then. Fuck all y'all. Picky ass motherfuckers.
He's just kidding.
Nah, it's a little bit. Whatever. I mean, it's no hate. We got to keep doing what we're doing. Keep trying. Keep going for the bookings that we believe in. Because I think there are parties that book for the clout, book for the bigger name bookings, book for the money, and they're trying to get a quick buck, and then they throw another party, and there's no substance to it. So you're not representing anything when you're a collective that's kind of just doing it just to do it.
Yeah, you spend all your money on one big booking, and then everything else is just lax.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm pretty sure we've both been to parties like that.
Yeah.
But but then getting those big bookings are tough too, because I mean, how are you gonna get them? With the high booking fees and travel costs and all that.
Yes, and that is getting so much fucking worse, and that's getting so frustrating. And I don't know if it's because other bigger collectives are offering more. We had an artist. I'm not going to drop his name. That's not the point. But we had one where I'd been talking to them for a year, trying to lock this party in. Hey, okay, we agreed on a certain rate, a certain fee, boom, boom, boom. And then they get an offer from Las Vegas for like a marquee club, and the rate is just absurd because they can afford to pay the guy. So he comes back to me like, hey, we have this offer, like, can you match it? And it's like, no, the fuck we can't. And that's not the point. It's the fact that, we have the rapport, and you would think an artist and an agency that you work with, you talk to, you care about, you show them that you're doing it for, the love of the artist, and you want to put the artist out there, but you get hit with like the agency. Yeah. Like, you get hit with like the financial, it's frustrating.
It almost makes you want to be ahead of the curve and just book people right before they blow up, which is, I mean, how are you going to predict that? But, you can kind of tell from certain artists.
But what sucks in that instance, just because it's exactly right. Like, you want to catch them before they blow up, and I think we've booked like one or two of those guys where, like, right before their big name, but they blow up after, and where you would expect like artist integrity and we were your first. But you've never been to Los Angeles before. You're a grown-ass, man or woman. You've never been to LA before. You come for the first time because we bring you out here. We book you. You play a great party, and then you blow up, and then you come back and you're asking for what? And you just throwing your name out to all the collectives to get booked. So there's no like I don't know what's the word. There's no like integrity almost.
Loyalty,
sometimes.
Right? Loyalty to your
sometimes.
collective and your vision.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's important too. Like when you're booking somebody, you gotta see if they really believe in you.
Yeah.
I think Rick Wade, he's a genuine guy. He believes in what we're doing. That's why he gave us a good price. I mean, for our first party.
Right.
And then he came back and played Grand Park, and kind of almost last minute too. And I know he gave us a pretty good deal on that as well. I mean, it's just, but he believes, and he's been in the scene for a long time. So I think those are the type of bookings that you have to look for. Because there's going to be people that are trying to make money, which is fine. But I mean, if that's not your vision or vibe, then I'd say I'd rather book the underground guy. That's going to play a killer set and just also stay at the party.
Not
and
get
not
paid,
just,
play and bounce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, when it's an after hour and the artist is playing like 2 to 5 and they show up at 1:50 and they leave at 5:05, like for that I'm like, all right, man.
That's
right.
cool.
I mean, at least
Thanks
come
for
a little
playing.
bit. Yeah, at least come a little bit early. Enjoy the party. Get the vibe.
Sure.
Hang out with us. We got your rider. Like, you know, we're really trying to take care of you. We're going out of our way.
Yeah.
Out of our fucking way to take care of these artists sometimes.
Yeah.
But we do it because that's what needs to be done, and we
Yeah.
believe that. So, I mean, I respect that.
I mean, it's fun doing that, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
on the other side,
Mhm.
when you have someone that's, you know, that believes in you, excuse me, it just, you know, you develop a friendship. And since doing Analog Advisory and Low, I've been able to meet friends online and then eventually book them.
Yeah.
And like for like one example would be DJ Bowlcut.
Oh, yeah.
And that was I was really proud of that party just because it was all Korean lineup, Korean DJs.
Represent.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever been done in LA, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure, but I was really proud of that moment, and you know, just to, you know, interviewing him on Analog Advisory Radio,
That's right.
and then having him do the guest mix, and then we finally get to book him. We're homies.
That's
and
great.
We had a great time, and that's the type of relationship I want with, you know, our Low bookings and anything we do with Analog Advisory. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's the most important thing, because I mean that speaks when you're representing your brand like that, people see it. You know, not everyone's gonna see it, and what you know, that's fine. I don't expect everybody to kind of understand our vision or understand what we're trying to do when we try to take care of them. But for the ones that do, I mean, we have, you know, like how you are to have that relationship with DJ Bullcup. We have the same relationship with Hidden Spheres.
Yeah.
Like that dude comes out, we go.
He's awesome.
Yeah, we go get ramen, we go record store. Oh, we have our gig too, but we're like, you know, welcome to LA. We'll go to Universal Studios, do that whole thing. So it's like it does pay to keep that, you know, energy going towards your artists.
Yeah, and then that's just going to translate into your parties. Right. And it's just, you know, it's more welcoming and just a better vibe. Yeah,
for sure. Well, I actually got to talk to you about something you're saying. We brought up Rick Wade a couple times. We'll do it off air. Oh, yeah. But yeah. Good conversation. What do you guys have lined up for the year? Anything we can expect from Analog Advisory, from Low?
For Low, we do have, actually this Friday, Pattern Bar.
Right.
We're going to have Nerves and Noni. Nerves is, I believe he's from Memphis. He's a Memphis transplant. And he's got a label called 10 Tracks. Really great DJ. So that should be fun. And Noni, I met through Analog Advisory, premiered one of his tracks.
Nice.
And he recently moved to San Diego, and you know, just kind of gone to parties with him and just hung out. So really excited to have him. I know he's really anxious or excited to play.
Yeah, awesome.
So I got that, and then also we have our after hours in February. I believe February 15th. Okay. Mark Blair.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Mark Blair for an after hours.
That's
great.
That should be fun. Yeah. I mean, are there some artists, do you think, that kind of fit the after hours more than other artists? Because I think like some sounds, you hear an artist playing, you're like, it's a good set. I don't know if it fits like the Warehouse Underground vibe kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. No? Yeah, you gotta. Yes, I do feel like some DJ. Well, you know, I feel like if you're a good DJ, you can play anytime, anywhere. But yeah, there's definitely some artists you're like, probably this would be better at Pattern, or this would be better, or this DJ would be better for an after hours. So, yeah.
Word, awesome. Where can everybody find you on social media? Crystal Painting.
Oh yeah. So for Crystal Painting, it would be at Crystal Painting. That's Instagram, and then my personal would be at Lee Zgram. And for Analog Advisory is at Analog Advisory Music, and then with Low, it's at Low Recordings. Yeah. So that should be it.
Yeah. In case you missed anything, follow one of them. You'll be able to kind of weasel it right. Well, I appreciate you coming out, man. We could sit here and talk all night, but I know you got to drive out. I don't want to take up too much time.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
It was fun.
Thank you guys for tuning in.